Okay, welcome to the regular meeting of City Council for August 15th. Call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for a moment of silence? Followed by the pledge of allegiance. Okay, welcome to the regular meeting of City Council for August 15th. Call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Back. I will hear what we sound. Are we okay? Ed?
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Byerly.
Keep giving you the thumbs up.
Councilmember Thompson.
Here.
Councilmember Missouri.
Here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Councilmember Bricker.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Yeah,
Mayor Long.
Approval of the minutes of the August 1st regular meeting.
move acceptance.
Councilman Byerly. Councilman Bricker, you got that? Any questions on that? We're on the minutes. All those in favor, get a sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. So moved. Public comment section, comments from residents and city taxpayers. The request from downtown Lockheed, that must be Kara.
Yeah, sorry, there's 6 of them. But the first one is to use Canal Park December 3rd through January 7th for the holiday inflatables. Last year, we had them in the parking lot and they kind of flew around everywhere and it was hard to keep up. And we thought using Canal Park, we could stake them in the ground and have them up longer as well. We reached out to the JCs and they gave us the okay to use the electric. So I just need the okay to use Canal Park to place those there.
Since there's 6 of these, do we want to combine them or do you can?
Sure, I can just keep going.
Keep on.
Thank you. The second request is for permission to paint the traffic control cabinets, the boxes, the black boxes on Main Street and Church Street. We would need to get a board together, of course, and there's partners we would like to use, the Art Council, the university, the city, to get this done. We did get an okay from PennDOT that was included in the letter as well. Permission, and also requesting permission to plant pollination flowers at the circle, like by North Vesper, Perry's Alley, where you walk up to the beach. We would be partnering with the Contribution District and AmeriCorps Seniors. Our fourth request is for closure of Sarah's Alley from East Main Street to Jordan's Alley for the live reindeer. We are getting those again this year. The fifth request is to use West Main Street and other streets. I think it goes all the way down to 3rd. You'd start at the post office, 3rd, then up onto Water, and then back down Mill, because that was a previous route for horse and carriage rides on the 26th as well. And then our last request is for Sarah's Alley as well. Let me go back to the traffic signals that would not be until January, until they got things in order. As well as the 6th request for Sarah's Alley to do an ice skating rink. And we'd like to partner with the city for that because there's 2 drains that run off of, or I shouldn't say drains, downspouts that run right off of Stella A's and Rachel K Creations. And we were walking home the one day and it was frozen in the alley. I'm like, oh my God, we have an ice skating rink right here and we don't even realize that, especially with the lights up. So I wanted to look into doing that as well.
Anybody else?
I know it's low, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad you come forward with multiple ideas instead of coming back every week. But-
Yeah, that's
But it shows that you're planning for the future and you're out like 6 months out. So. Which is the council, you have any questions?
I like. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
I like the idea of painting the black boxes. Is there a way we can like think of a theme or, like something? I mean, I'd like to kind of like see what they were prior to saying, okay. Just saying,
Yeah.
give them the okay, go ahead, because they could be a potpourri of pictures, but I think, coming up with some kind of theme for a city, some towns have squirrels or bears, or, I'm not saying this is to that extent. But, Piper Cub or, LSU
I think
or
that's
Wildcat, I don't know what the vision is there. But it'd be neat to have some kind of theme representing our area.
I think that's why Kira wants to do a committee with like the Arts Council.
Right.
in the
Yeah.
city, So that that committee can come up with the standards,
Yeah,
and that could be a theme.
Yeah.
But also like the vet, what people want to paint on
Right.
there. See a design of that. probably.
Right.
So. Is that accurate?
Yes, you're correct. Thank you.
And then number 6, just to weigh in on that. Right now, this gives downtown Lock Haven permission to explore that. Because it would be more than 72 hours, when the dates are finalized, we do a resolution for the closure of that, because it would be longer than like 1 or 2 days. So that gives time for them to explore this as an option. And then when things are more finalized, we come back to the council with a resolution.
Yeah, because it's really based on weather. And we reached out to our insurance that we currently have would not cover the ice skating rink. We reached out to another insurance company locally and they can do an event. So really, if we would do it, it would be 1 or 2 days, and then maybe the next month would be 1 or 2 days, but again, it's based on weather and the event policy. So that's the only downfall to a man-made rink. Well, a rink in general, really.
I like the pictures of the examples of the black boxes that are in.
Oh, thank you.
Handout.
So the one is actually from Harrisburg. The first one right up here. That one's from Harrisburg. But the other ones were on my brother-in-law's show.
Hey, what's the wishes of council? Any other questions?
I'll move section 4B in its entirety.
4B for the request, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, give this sign of saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Extensions? So moved. Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good
You're
luck.
welcome. You're very welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Consideration of resolution number 2022-35.
Yeah, 4D, yeah,
Where's B?
4D.
I think we just did that.
No, we didn't. We didn't see, we didn't do the Piper Harbor playground.
We're on the banner.
I thought we were on C.
You're right.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is a resolution. I apologize.
That's okay.
I apologize to the vice president.
It's a banner for welcome back Waukegan Youth Students request.
I move approval.
Second.
Councilman Byerly, seconded. Questions? All those in favor, give a sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. 4D. Use of Piper Harmon Playground for Tara birthday party.
It could be on September 4th from 3 to 6 p.m. The organizer, which is the family of child, asked now that it's a phenomenally reconstructed
Aw.
playground and everything is looking so great and brand new, that they would like to have a birthday party.
Okay, and it says that the Director of Community Life will take care of everything that needs to work, should work, whether with the rules and regulate, like at least the area and pick up your. Okay.
Yep.
What's the wishes of council on the request for the playground?
Yeah, I move it. Yeah.
And it's properly moved and seconded,
Okay.
that we allow the Tars to have a birthday party at a new Piper Harmon playground. Questions on the motion? All those in favor, give a sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Unfinished business, 5A. Consideration of ordinance 2022-06. Pledging the right to raise water rates if needed to meet the obligation of repaying the debt on the Penvest loan. This is the second reading.
Right, this is the schedule of water rates that the city would approach PUC to raise rates to in order to be able to secure the debt service payments to Penvest. This needs to be in place because we don't yet have the cost sharing agreement. So we can't use the money we would get from Suburban through the filtration authority to guarantee the loan. Obviously, once that cost sharing agreement is signed, then there would not be a necessity to raise rates. So it's a kind of odd double jeopardy format.
Anybody have any questions? Seeing no hands, I would entertain a motion to pass the consideration of the ordinance.
I move ordinance 2022-06.
Second.
So moved and properly second. Any other questions? All those in favor, give a sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. I know Abby's supposed to do roll call vote. But
It's okay.
is this okay? Is this fair? All right, sorry.
Really, I don't.
Consideration of ordinance 2022-07 prohibiting tobacco and vapor in city parks and levy. Second reading.
This is unchanged from the first reading.
I will move ordinance 2022-07.
Properly moved. Anybody second it?
I'll second.
Properly second. Any other questions? All those in favor, give a sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Abstentions? Hearing none. Let's see, where are we? So 5C. Consideration of award of the contract for phase 1 of the Sunset Pine Stormwater Improvement to HRI at the price of $610,117.
Before the Director of Public Works speaks to that, I will say to your good fortune, I guess. There is $644,364 in the Highway Aid Fund, which is liquid fuels. And that is what will cover this bid.
All right, so this is part of phase one, that is the base bid in addition number one, which is Sylvan from Hill Street all the way past Turner of Harris Drive. As you see, the other two additions is spread out the range, so our recommendation is to approve the base bid, addition number one.
Any questions for Director of Public Works? Or our manager?
I know this is a multi-year project, but I'm glad to see us actually getting technically boots on the ground.
And you can see, addition 2 and 3, 2 was Morningside Drive, 3 is Campus View. There isn't sufficient funding right now to do those, but every year we get about $200,000. That's been pledged over the next 6 years, projects up in Sunset Pines. So at least now we have a general idea of what those would likely come in at.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call vote, please. Thanks for spending money. Oh, gee, really?
We do now.
Well,
I'll
wait,
also
we do have a motion for phase one. to waive the
Second.
fund. Thank you, Councilman. Now,
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Coughlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Woody,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yep.
thank you. 5D, update on city filtration water authority suburban cost sharing agreement.
Council previously approved the cost sharing agreement between the city, the filtration authority and Suburban to help cover the cost of the upgrades to Old Keller and the new water wells. In a recent discussion that we had with Suburban, they would just like the water projects that I just listed out in the agreement instead of just saying future water supply projects. And that really is the largest addition. They also want a clarification that apparently the original language of the cost sharing agreement, if you're not the city, you could read that and it may sound like the city says it owns the filtration plant. I didn't personally see that, but they felt that was something that could be corrected, so that was also some clarification.
Do we have to go back every time there's a new project and ask for?
No, that's why we had come up with, like our lawyer had come up with just future water projects. They do want these specifically put out, but these are the ones that we'll be doing in the next 6 to 8 years. I don't have enough black hair left to do anymore.
Well, you were at those meetings, so are you satisfied with the cost sharing agreement? And everything that's,
I am, it's a little more simple, I guess, to say this and get to the finish line. And then what was discussed is because these agreements have a variety of amendments and started in 1993, that we do need to work together to consolidate all of that into one master agreement again. And so that will be started after we get the cost sharing agreement signed. Then we can work on the process of kind of consolidating all of that. There's a lot of things that were added over time that may be in an amendment, but then it's not mentioned in 2 amendments after that. But it doesn't mean that it went away. It's just nobody has that copy of that in front of them. So. And it's the amendments.
Yes, and then that was.
There are
that was
amendments
a-
to amendments.
That was a big topic of discussion with the amendments.
any other questions or discussion?
And it does not require actually by council. It's not a substantive change.
5E, Acceptance of legal representation for the 2022 Penvest loan.
You won't believe it, but in order to borrow money, you have to use lawyers. And so, these are the engagement letters to the city's bond counsel, Eckerd Siemens, and the city solicitor for them to handle the legality of borrowing the money from Penvest. And they do need approved by council.
Yes. Question on the legal representation for Penvest? Entertain a motion.
I'll move item 5E.
5E's been moved. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Councilman. Except, once you roll call that.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Minority,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Vice President, I thank you for doing roll call on that, because that's exactly what Jennifer Karen was going to ask me.
Oh,
But
okay.
it seems as if we did roll call. I love the roll.
Yeah. I don't want to spend money and have legal documents. I think I'd leave the roll call too. Any other unfinished business?
I had none.
New business, consideration of appointment of voting delegates and alternate to the annual summit of the Pennsylvania Municipal League.
Considering the number of years he served as a member of the board at PML, I would recommend that and his familiarization with the familiarity, sorry, with the issues, I would suggest that Steve be our voting member, a voting delegate.
I'll second.
Would you consider adding Mr. Conklin as an alternate to that motion?
Of course.
I will offer my services as alternate.
And you still second it?
I still do.
Okay. Do that. Okay, we have motion and a second for delegates to the PML summit. Any questions? All those in favor, give a sign of aye.
No.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. 6B, consideration of resolution 2022-36 to apply for DCED facade grant.
We've come to the part in our program that everyone enjoys, which is the city planner and development coordinator, Abby Roberts. portion of the show. And so I'll turn this over to her.
Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
I've been working with downtown Lock Haven and Kira and Commissioner Harding with a facade grant application. So we have done this in the past, cooperated with downtown I believe the last time we did this was 2012. Businesses are itching to do it. We've had a lot of interest and are requesting $50,000 from the program. There is a matching fund, but how the program will be set up, the businesses will put their own matching funds toward the grant they receive. So we won't have any skin in the game and help our businesses out.
Have they changed any of the outlines or requirements of the program from before? Because there was like a roadmap of
Yeah, have they,
staying with the historical values and
yes.
just.
So we'll have to, well, downtown pick their area. I would say it's the same as, similar to their neighborhood assistance program boundary. They extended it a little bit to get some of their numbers. So if you're within that boundary and a downtown Lock Haven member business, you're eligible for the grant. And we go to the storage advisory committee, bounce off the applications. Downtown will have I believe their design committee will be looking over all the applications, and then the full board will approve it. The city's aspect in this is just the financial management of it.
Hey, what's the wishes of council?
I move approval.
Properly moved and seconded. Since it's DCED, should we have roll call on this one also?
It's just a resolution.
All right, well then let's,
I shouldn't say it.
I know, I understand.
It's just a resolution.
Any
I
other,
mean, seriously, we've done 36 this year.
any other questions? All those in favor, give a sign of aye.
aye,
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed, nay. Abstentions. So moved. Consideration resolution 2022-37 to apply for 500,000 towards the public safety building proposed expansion.
This is also an application to the Keystone Communities Program. We'll be applying for $500,000. This will be the gap funding for the Lock Haven Public Safety Building, as I'm calling it, the proposed expansion with our police department, with the proposed fire department. There is a dollar for dollar match on this, but we'll match it with our proceeds that are already contributed to the project. With this grant fund, it will I believe completely cover the project, so.
Questions, comments? Can we authorize borrowing for a project that has not been authorized yet? We authorize consideration of exploring the possibilities, but haven't endorsed the project. And with that, for sum of money, if the Hope's project does not go through, can it be used for another project that we come up with in the future?
It could be rejected. But the city can't afford to do the project with just 2.5 million. It does need 3 million to do it. So making application to Keystone Communities for the $500,000, if you are successful, then you know you could potentially move forward with it. If you're not successful, then you still have to come up with another way to get the $500,000. This is the most likely way to pursue that.
And this is
Yeah.
grant funding. This
Correct.
isn't the one.
Right. Right. You have already borrowed the 2.5 million.
This
But-
is not a one.
If you did get awarded this $500,000 grant, council still has the decision ultimately to make as to whether or not to move forward with the project. This is the most advantageous way forward, decided by council. And so this is just part of that process of trying to get our I's, T dotted and crossed.
So it's not transferable to another better site.
We'd have to do
Have to
like a new
reapply again. Does that 2.5 million include land acquisition?
We cannot use the 2.5 million for land acquisition.
So that would have to come out of the general fund.
That would have to come out of the capital projects fund, which has, I think. Oh, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that.
575,000 in it right now.
Would that also pay for when the company that owns the land now was going to build on it, they had a soil borings done. They had a geo report, a pre-construction survey of Fox's building. And they found that it was not controlled fill, that it would be very, very expensive to excavate, and you can't excavate more than 10 feet without shoring. And you only can reach it from the alley and the street and not the parking lot probably. And it was if I can remember some of the inspection, and I didn't read it all, I just know of some of the things of the reasoning behind the fact that they decided not to build there, that to drive H piles, to do all the things you have to do under construction. It was just, I remember it an old building, and they just pushed the construction debris in. So you'd need to excavate down as far as you could before you could control the fill. I think that'll lend to a lot of cost overruns. And I would think that if we drove piles and vibrated enough, not only would the bricks on the hose company separate and we'd be repairing that, but we also could be buying the Fox's historic restaurant. I just wanted people to know some of these things. If you want to do your homework, I think you should not pursue this project any further, although it was a 4-3 vote that council pursue and look into it. And I know that financing is the next step, but I think we're chasing our tail around here for a site and the design of moving the fire company and the police back and forth. Plus the fact that then we'll have City Hall, 10 or 11 people, and you still would have to fix City Hall. And so that's still going to be expensive. I just don't, I think we should not continue to pursue or fund it or ask for funding and look for something else. I know we need to do something. I just don't think the host company is a viable option. I think we don't want to rush to a conclusion or continue to go on it if it's a bad piece of land right next to us. That's just not a place I'd like to go.
The documents that you mentioned off the bat, those were provided by the current property owner and they were provided to the architect as well. So we have had discussions with the current property owner. They have shared all the information that they had, and that has been shared with us.
And it didn't show any red flags that you saw, or the architect hasn't come back and said anything?
The architect hasn't come back to say this is not a viable space.
I move the resolution as presented.
Second.
Any additional questions, comments?
Well, I was just going to make the point that Councilman Stevenson has elaborated in more detail and with greater authority than I did, but I seem to remember when we talked about this before, I hinted darkly that that piece of land was not probably the best place we should be looking. It's been owned, I think, by a succession of investors and developers for something like 30 years and has never been developed, and there has to be a reason for that. So I'm inclined to agree with Councilman Stevenson that this is not the kind of project that inspires me with any confidence, and I think we may be just pouring good money after bad if we consider it any further.
Anybody else? Any other comments?
The issue really here is if we don't pursue this money, then even if we want to or don't want to do that, we can't go any further anyway. So either we have the money and then can actually make a decision, or have the grant offered to us and actually make a decision then, or we have to drop the whole thing right now. And I don't think that's wise on our part. I think we need to see the engineering plans, and if we see the engineered plans, then we can make a more educated decision.
There's no deadlines on this application.
The application is due August 31st, and I will say that probably August now, we probably won't hear until the beginning of 2023. It takes a couple months, so.
But they have continuous rounds of applying.
This one is an annual, the applications open between July and August of every year. Yeah. This one's regularly funded, so I would see it coming around again.
Any other comments, considerations? It's been moved in second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Byron,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes,
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
No.
Councilmember Bricker,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
No.
Okay, 6D, consideration approval of $50,000 commercial loan to the Fallon.
This is. It's a $50,000 loan request from the Fallon House to the Commercial Loan Committee. I go to say this a little backwards than done before, just because how the council meetings worked out with the Commercial Loan Committee meetings. The Commercial Loan Committee will consider this at tomorrow's meeting. So your approval will be contingent upon their favorable recommendation. So nothing will happen if they do not approve the loan. But it is for facade improvements to the Fallon Hotel. Will be turned for 7 years because of real estate. And the interest rate will be 3%.
Can that be used for something different than facade?
It can, he actually came in with a larger application and we asked the tenant to narrow it down. And I also did tell him about the downtown facade improvement project, so he might, depending on timing, may be able to combine things, but this is what he chose to focus the 50,000 on specifically.
We don't usually give council copies of the CEDACOG credit report thing.
No.
Okay.
Why are we doing it backwards?
It was the timing, so Carrie Chisholm is working through this quickly and has been working through it for about 2 months. And I just figured it would be easier if we just continue do it approval contingent upon, but would be more than happy to do it your way if not.
The revolving loan fund committee, commercial committee is tomorrow morning at 9.
Correct. Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, so we're a day after council. So short of waiting another couple of weeks to get council to approve it, it's contingent upon him.
It's
The
actually
committee.
a month.
It'll be a month till our
That's
next
a
meeting.
Labor Day. So
Oh.
we wouldn't meet till the 12th,
Okay,
and so it's quite a long time to wait.
so it's just how it felt.
Well, the Fallon Hotel has not had a facade for 166 years. Why is it so busting urgent that we approve this tonight?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know what his, since we don't have a list of what his priority plans are, but I will tell you that visually, that roof structure, which was repaired once and apparently not repaired well by the previous owner, still needs work. And if he cannot keep his restaurant open if the entrance is in danger of collapsing.
You're trying with the car. I move approval.
I'll second that.
Probably moved and seconded that we consider the Fallon House request contingent upon the commercial loan committee. Any other questions? Comment? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes,
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Okay, any other new business?
I had none, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Okay, you notice in your packet that you have reports, invitation 7A.
Yeah, of the reports, I would draw council's attention to the dedication on August 25th at 4 o'clock to the second floor exhibit room of the Piper Aviation Museum, which is being named after John Brierton, who was, of course, a longtime supporter of the museum, but also served on several committees of the city, including the Water Filtration Authority and Civil Service.
You saw minutes of the Water Filtration Authority and received a second quarter Comcast franchise fee.
And the Comcast franchise fee is always included so that it appears.
Very good. Does anybody else have other matters? Councilman Conklin, anything?
Other than just congratulations to the Arts Council and Steve Getz and his team for an incredible weekend in downtown Lockwood, just incredible.
It was wonderful.
It was great.
The weather was great.
Yeah,
Everything fell.
we
into
got
place.
lucky. We,
Yeah.
or he got lucky, or we all got lucky.
Yep, it was really good.
It was very nice.
And I will say, although I joke about Abby being the favorite part of the agenda, that's mostly because she brings in money. But the $610,000 that Tony is about to spend is going to make his phone ring less for that neighborhood, and the conditions of the roads in that area. So there are a lot of people that hopefully will be very happy with the finished product. I realize it won't encompass the entire neighborhood of Sunset Pines yet, but they will be able to see the kind of work that will be done eventually in front of all of them.
But Sylvan Drive, I mean, that's the main thoroughfare, so if you can get water off of Sylvan Drive, you're taking it out of other things.
They still drive and look at the, the Oscars besides race.
Yeah, so
It's the culmination of a lot of work by Tony and the engineer and his crew. So,
I agree. I read studied the the lists, and there's a lot to it.
Yeah, I think they started this in 2019. So
Yeah, yeah.
we did a study. Get the. Wait for the tier to come out.
Anybody else with comments? Councilman Missouri?
Nope, I'm good. thank you.
Anybody up there? I have two. One, economic partnership timeouts is Thursday at Redmond's, 5:30 to 7:30. If you have an RSVP yet, you should, because they want to hang out. And don't forget, Wednesday is the Rail to Trail dedication for that phase of the project at 2 o'clock in the afternoon down at the project off of Spook Hollow. Those are some neat projects coming through here. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
I heard it. All those in favor, please stand up. Those opposed, stay seated.
Abby, are you going to dedicate this thing for the Valley Trail?
Yes, I will.
You want to ride?